So, the debate right now isn't about whether we need to make tough choices. Democrats and Republicans agree on the amount of deficit reduction we need. The debate is about how it should be done. Most Americans, regardless of political party, don't understand how we can ask a senior citizen to pay more for her Medicare before we ask a corporate jet owner or the oil companies to give up tax breaks that other companies don't get. How can we ask a student to pay more for college before we ask hedge fund managers to stop paying taxes at a lower rate than their secretaries? How can we slash funding for education and clean energy before we ask people like me to give up tax breaks we don't need and didn't ask for? That's not right. It's not fair.
On Monday, took a call from Janice, nice woman from California who's afraid. She worries her Social Security check won't be sent if a debt limit deal isn't reached. Now, those fears are just what Obama wanted when he told CBS Evening News that he couldn't guarantee Social Security checks would be mailed out in the absence of a deal. What I told Janice applies to everybody expecting a Social Security check. There are more than enough funds to keep Social Security solvent, and Obama and the Democrats know it. Deal or no deal, the only reason why you wouldn't get your check on time is if your president, Barack Hussein Obama, decides to withhold it. In fact, a group of 16 Republican senators and representatives are proposing a bill to require Obama to prioritize payments for debt service, Social Security, and military pay if no deal is reached. As it is, the federal government will take in $172 billion in August. The monthly interest on our debt is $29 billion. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid payments will run $100 billion. Paying the active duty military, defense vendors, and veterans would bring total outlays to about $166.5 billion. So we have the money, not only for Janice's Social Security, but for other essential services without any risk to the full faith and credit of the United States. As I've been saying, this is a political crisis, not a financial one. And unlike Democrats, these numbers do not lie.
Our debt as a share of the economy is already too high. But look at where it's going. These are actually pretty conservative estimates. We face a crushing burden of debt, which will take down our economy. It will lower our living standards. Actually, I asked the Congressional Budget Office to model the economy going forward. So they have these computer programs that simulate the U.S. economy. The computer program crashes in 2037 because it can't conceive of any way in which the U.S. economy can continue because of this massive burden of debt. You know, the economists tell us, when your debt gets to 90% as a share of your economy, you start slowing down and we stagnate. We prevent that from ever happening. Here's what would happen under our proposed budget, what we're calling the path to prosperity. As you can see, we won't come anywhere close to the tipping point, and we'll pay off the debt over time. So how will we do it? We will cut spending.
These are difficult times in the life of our nation. Millions are looking for work and have been for some time. And the spending binge going on in Washington is a big part of the reason why. Before I served in Congress, I ran a small business in Ohio. I was amazed at how different Washington, D.C. operated than every other business in America. Where most American businesses make the hard choices to pay their bills and live within their means, in Washington, more spending and more debt is business as usual. Well, I've got news for Washington. Those days are over.
So I'm asking you all to make your voice heard. If you want a balanced approach to reducing the deficit, let your member of Congress know.
It goes completely contrary to common sense and how I grew up in Iowa. So here I am in Congress watching these people borrow more money that we don't have so that my children can be further indebted.
You and I, as individuals, can, by borrowing, live beyond our means, but for only a limited period of time. Why then should we think that collectively, as a nation, we're not bound by that same limitation?
We don't have deficits because people are taxed too little. We have deficits because big government spends too much. The answer to a government that's too big is to stop feeding its growth. Yes, the deficit doctors have their scalpels out all right, but they're not poised over the budget. That's as fat as ever and getting fatter. What they're ready to operate on is your wallet. My friends, history is clear. Lower tax rates mean greater freedom. And whenever we lower the tax rates, our entire nation is better off. Common sense told us that when you put a big tax on something, the people will produce less of it. So we cut the people's tax rates, and the people produced more than ever before. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
Look, we have a choice of two futures. We know the path we are on right now. That's the path the president's proposing. A debt crisis, no health and retirement security, a diminished future, a stagnant country, less jobs, less prosperity. That is not the America we know.